Tonight, The Punisher returns, the Batman 2 script, Russell Crowe is immortal, and remembered actor Jack Betts and composer Lalo Schifrin, plus an interview with VeVe Digital Collectibles co founder Dan Crothers. All that and more in this edition of Multiverse Tonight! Welcome to Multiverse Tonight, your source for geek news. We dissect films, games, comics, and much more, bringing you insightful commentary on pop culture. This is Multiverse Tonight. Now, here's your host, Thomas Townley. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 243 of Multiverse Tonight. I'm, of course, your host, Thomas Townley. And, well, I'm drinking water. I know, you're going, well, I don't care what you're drinking. Yeah, normally I'm drinking Pepsi. And right now I'm drinking water because I've been put on the low FODMAP diet. It's FODMAP. Just it's a diet. Basically, you're trying to figure out what you can and can't eat. So you're supposed to eliminate everything and then slowly bring stuff back. So I've been trying to also just limit how much Pepsi I drink to like 1 or 2 a day. So yeah, so right now drinking water and just basically room temperature water, because when you're doing something like this and you drink cold water, it's not really good for your pipes. So that's that. Other than that, I have an interview in today's episode with the co-founder of VeVe Digital Collectibles, Dan Crothers. He was kind enough to come and join me and talk about his world of digital collectibles and stuff like that. So we have that on today's show. But other than that, let's go on to the Marvel Comics news. The Punisher returns. Jon Bernthal is suiting up as the Vigilante once again for Spider-Man Brand New Day, Sony and Marvel's latest web-slinging adventure. Bernthal first suited up as the Punisher, aka Frank Castle, back in 2016 in Netflix's Daredevil, becoming a fan favorite before being spun off into his own series in 2017, which ran for 2 seasons. He most recently returned to the role earlier this year in Disney Plus's Daredevil Born Again, and he's set to appear in the 2nd season and will return again for a 2026 Disney Plus special centered on Punisher from director Ronaldo Marcus Green. So, brand new, more Punisher. I hate to say it. I think hasn't we grown out of the Punisher? I don't think the Punisher's apt in our world anymore. Let's let the Punisher just go. Anyway, DC Comics news now. Are you ready for the Superman movie? I am. Anyway, Sega has announced exciting new collaborations teaming up with Warner Bros. Discovery, Jakks Pacific, and Funko to release a new line of Sonic the Hedgehog by DC Comics crossover action figures and pop collectibles. This announcement comes as fans eagerly await the launch of the next big Sonic the Hedgehog title, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, and soon they'll be able to expand their gaming and comics collection with this new merchandise. The concept for these gaming characters donning superhero suits was first introduced to fans back in early 2025 with a critically and commercially successful limited comic book series, DC Comics Sonic the Hedgehog and the Justice League. Sega is now expanding these fantastical Hedgehog offerings with exclusive new toy lines. Jakks Pacific, in collaboration with Sega of America and Warner Bros. Discovery, is releasing an all-new line of action figures inspired by the crossover event. Now, these characters will feature popular characters from both franchises, including Sonic Silver, Shadow, Amy, The Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Additionally, Funko is launching their own series of figures, which will include Knuckles, Tails, Superman, and Cyborg. And the Jack Specific figures are set to ship on October 1st, while the Funko Pops will be released in July and August. Both the Jack Specific and Funko Pop Sonic the Hedgehog by DC Comics Collectibles will be sold exclusively at Target as part of the retailer's Summer Geek Out event. The Sonic by DC Collectibles mirror the crossover designs from the comic book collaboration, with characters like Sonic as the Flash, Silver as Green Lantern, Shadow as Batman, Amy as Wonder Woman, Knuckles as Superman, and Tails as Cyborg. Jack Specific is offering a 4-pack action figure set featuring DC Comics notorious villain Darkseid, with Sonic, Silver, and Shadow priced at $59.99. The individual 5-inch figures of Sonic, Silver, and Amy will be available for $14.99. And Funko's lineup will have 6 of the crossover characters as standalone pops. While pre-orders for the Funko Pops have already sold out, the Jack Specific figures are still available for early purchase. Fans can check back after launch for potential restocks. Sega's recent collaborations for Sonic the Hedgehog include those with Magic the Gathering, the UK's McLaren Racing team, and now Jack Specific and Funko have kept fan enthusiasm for the Blue Blur's upcoming game title at a fever pitch. Interested fans should act quickly to secure the collectibles and stay tuned for further announcements. DC fans finally got some good news on the future of the highly anticipated The Batman sequel. Writer director Matt Reeves shared a photo of the completed script on Friday after several delays. Variety confirmed the script was finished. Partners in crime, Reeves wrote on Instagram with co-writer Mattson Tomlin. The first page of the script is blurred out, but there is very clearly a Batman logo on top. It's been a long time for an update on the Batman Part 2, which was originally announced in April 2022, a month after the original Robert Pattinson blockbuster soared into theaters. After several delays, the sequel is now scheduled for October 1st, 2027, 5.5 years after the original made more than $772 million at the global box office. And that's not a good sign. If I was Warner Bros. Discovery and DC, I would put the original Batman back into theaters, say next year, just to refresh people's memories. And then, because 5 years between sequels is going to just obliterate anyone's memory of what the previous movie was. Anyway, we have no Star Trek or Star Wars news today, so let's go on to the geek news and that interview with VeVe Collectibles Dan Crothers. And it's interview time here in Multiverse tonight, and today we have a special interview. We have Dan Crothers from VeVe Collectibles here to talk about a new line of collectibles. So Dan, take it away.
Thank you so much for having me, Thomas. Really excited to be here and have a chat with you about all things collectibles and comics.
So what new things do you have for us?
We are always releasing new collectibles pretty much every week. Over the years, since we started in 2017, we've managed to sign up many, many different brands and IPs across many different fandoms. I think it's sitting at 200 plus now. Recently we've done, we had Star Wars month last month, my favorite month of the year. And we released a lot of really cool Star Wars collectibles from the Star Wars helmets to stormtroopers, pod races. It's been really, really fun, actually. And then we change gear completely as we moved into this month, and we just dropped some really beautifully detailed Maserati vehicles from the Maserati line.
Oh, that's cool. Now these are all digital collectibles, correct?
That is correct. Yes, the digital collectibles.
So, what's so special about these?
Well, the way I see it is that, as you can tell, like you behind me is, I collect a ton of stuff, and I found that a lot of my collector friends, if you really love a fandom, you're collecting everything from the posters, the duvet, the mug, the
Mhm.
physical collectible, and now digital collectible is a new offering in the space. Over the past couple of decades, we've seen so many industries move into the digital space. Your reading, education, watching TVs and movies, everything has kind of moved digital. Um, and collectibles is it now entering that space as well.
Well, that's great. Now, what's special about your collectibles versus another company's?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's probably not much to competition in our field at the moment. It's still a very new field. But I would say really, the biggest difference is that when myself and my business partner started the company, we're both massive collectors. He's an even bigger collector than I am. I like to call him a level 9,000 collector for any Dragon fans out there. Um, and really, it's so our collectibles are all beautiful 3D models. So I mean, you guys will see the collectibles I've got behind me here.
Mhm.
Before those collectibles go to physical production, they're actually all sculpted in 3D, beautifully detailed. And our process is very similar. So we basically take the 3D collectible, or we build the 3D collectible from scratch. But then rather than sending it off to a factory to be turned into a physical toy or a collectible, we basically modify it, update it to bring it into our digital platform. And the cool thing about this is that we can add a whole lot of additional features to it. And in
Mhm.
some ways, I kind of call them hyper collectibles. For example, they can have animation, they can have audio, they can have interaction, and what part of the mission that David and I went on in 2017 is to really bring that physical collectible experience that we know and love into a digital space. And that was one of the main reasons we really wanted to go 3D with our collectibles. And we have tools in there like augmented reality, so you can drop your X-wing, your stormtroopers, your sandcrawler, whatever, directly in AR, and you can interact with it. Make it follow a particular path. It's really a lot of fun, but like I say, just a new and kind of different way for collectors to enjoy the fandoms that we love.
That's good. Now, these collectibles, do they, do they appreciate like, like crypto, or you know, what the what kind of value do they get?
Yeah, I mean, number one, we're a collectible business at the end of the day. Like, I mean, a lot of the collectibles I buy, 90% of them might stay the same value or drop in value. But of course, there's always those very limited ones that you find. Like in comics, for example, if you find that rare variant cover at New York Comic Con or San Diego, those are the type of assets that appreciate. So because our business is backed by blockchain,
Mhm.
it means that we can actually create a limited number of those digital assets. It's not like back in the day where if I had a JPEG of Darth Vader, I
Mhm.
could send it to you, you could send it on to anyone, and there could be an infinite amount of copies of it. But because we are limited by, sorry, because we leverage blockchain, it means that the assets are actually limited. So if we're only minting 50 of a particular comic or 50 of a particular collectible, they can never be duplicated or copied. So just to circle back to your question, yeah,
Mhm.
whenever we do a drop, more often than not, in that drop is a very limited version of that collectible, and those ones tend to appreciate. And also, we have a lot of first appearances, in this new space.
And so, how's business?
Sorry.
So, how's business going?
Business is going great. Obviously, a couple of years ago, everyone knew about NFTs. My mom, my
Mhm.
dad, my mum was collecting everything. And typically with new technology industries, we go through a massive hype, and then we go through a dip, and then it starts to come back up, and the technology becomes mainstream. So we're sort of on that slope coming up, and we really believe in this industry. I'm never going to give up physical collecting. I love
Mhm.
that, but I also love to have my digital collectibles. I mean, they're in the palm of my hand, every day, and with the augmented reality features, no matter where I am, if I'm out at dinner or whatever, I can have Boba Fett join me or Darth Vader join me directly in AR.
Oh, that's cool. Now, it works. So it works with VR.
Yes, it absolutely works with VR. So, the other thing that we wanted to do with the digital collecting space is, as I can see from your background and my background, setting up our collectibles and display is like a really important part of the whole
Hmm.
process. So we have our own metaverse, or you could call them virtual showrooms, where people can go in, whether you want to do it on computer or very soon on your phone, or in virtual reality, and you can go in and you can set up all your collectibles, and then you can invite your friends in. So we really wanted to make sure that we kind of covered all of the bases that collectors love.
So how many brands do you work with here? I see, I'm looking at your page and there's a ton of them. How many are there?
There would be 200 plus brands now, and really, because our sort of philosophy is that everyone is a fan of something. Some
Hmm.
people love Star Wars, some people love cars, some people love stamps. In this collecting space, in fact, I meet so many collectors at the Comic Cons, who collect the most random things. So for us, it was really really important that we get that broad spread of brands, to appeal to all collectors.
And you really see this growing wide in the next decade or so.
Yep, absolutely. In fact, I would probably say over the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to start seeing a lot more digital collectibles coming into play. And I think it's a testament to the app and the product and our team. In particular, the team, our creative team who produces the collectibles. I mean, they're so amazingly detailed. You can zoom right in on a belt, or helmet, or whatever, and just see that really really fine detail.
Oh, that's good. I like detail. Detail's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything coming up that you're excited to release?
Yes, we've got a lot of really cool brands coming up. We haven't actually announced them just yet. I'll say that they're from the gaming space, like very very iconic characters from the gaming space. And I mean, we're signing new licenses all the time. And in fact, I think this year at the Licensing Expo was one of our busiest times. So it's really great to see the actual industry behind the scenes is really starting to adopt this kind of digital approach. That's typically where it starts, and then ultimately end up in the consumer's hands.
All right. Now, for my reviewers, I like to give them a random question here from my little deck of cards.
Cool. Let's go.
So let's go. What's the main thing on your bucket list?
Oh, main thing on my bucket list. It's pretty random actually. One day I would love to climb a live volcano.
Ooh.
Not too far to the top, but I've always just thought it would be quite exhilarating to do
Oh,
something like that.
oh yeah. My sister lived in Hawaii for a year, and
Ah,
she got very close to volcanoes there.
who have
Wh-
experienced it, that's fair to
Well,
share.
I'll give you the last word here to promote VeVe Studios, and then I think we'll finish up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if you're a collector and you love collecting, whether it's physical or digital, please come and check out our site, vv.me. We've got all of the major brands, whether you like superheroes, Star Wars, anything across the fandom space. Yeah, come check it out.
All right, Dan. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There we go. All right, let's get on with the geek news. Russell Crowe will instruct Henry Cavill in the ways of the Immortals in the remake of Highlander. The Oscar winner is set to play Cavill's mentor in a variation on the part played by Sean Connery in the 1986 original film. John Wick director Chad Stahelski will oversee the remake, which has a script by Michael Finch, who wrote John Wick Chapter 4. Highlander is being backed by Amazon MGM Studios and United Artists, which is being run by former Netflix film chief Scott Stuber. The film will open theatrically. Now, Crowe was one of the biggest stars of the late 90s and early aughts, appearing in action-heavy roles like with the likes of Gladiator and Master and Commander, and earned critical raves for more dramatic work like The Insider, A Beautiful Mind, and LA Confidential. In recent years, he's taken on more character parts like Craven the Hunter, or the low budget movies like The Pope's Exorcist and Sleeping Dogs. FX is close to ordering a pilot for Very Young Frankenstein, a new project inspired by Mel Brooks' classic 1974 comedy film, Young Frankenstein. The film, often hailed as one of the greatest comedy movies ever, starred Gene Wilder as Dr. Frederick Frankenstein, who inherits his grandfather's Transylvanian castle and continues his work on reanimating the dead. Wilder also co-wrote the screenplay with Brooks and the cast, including Marty Feldman, Cloris Leachman, Terry Garr, Peter Boyle, and Madeline Kahn. Brooks previously adapted the film into a stage musical, much like the producers. Now, specific plot details for Very Young Frankenstein are of course undisclosed. Mel Brooks will serve as executive producer alongside his producing partner Ken Salter, Stephanie Robinson, Taika Waititi, and Garrett Bash, all known for their works on What We Do in the Shadows, will also executive produce. Robinson is set to write and showrun with Waititi directing. Michael Gruskoff, who produced the original film, is also on board as executive producer, with 20th Television behind the project. The potential pilot is the latest TV adaptation of Brooks' cinematic work. Hulu recently aired History of the World Part 2, a sketch comedy series that followed up on his 1981 film History of the World Part 1. So, are you ready for Very Young Frankenstein? Hmm? Get ready for more Stitch mayhem. Disney is developing a sequel to its live-action Lilo and Stitch remake. The studio announced the project on 626, a reference to the Wild Blue alien government name, Experiment 626. In a brief teaser, Stitch drives a hot pink convertible through the Disney lot as he shouts, "Get ready, here we go!" News of the follow-up comes as Lilo and Stitch has grossed over $910 million at the global box office since Memorial Day. Originally planned as a straight-to-streaming release, the PG adventure is on pace to become this year's first billion-dollar blockbuster, and that's just a theatrical windfall. Long before he and Lilo return to the big screen, Stitch-themed merchandise has remained a huge moneymaker for Disney in the past 23 years since the original 2002 animated film. In 2024, Disney sold $2.6 billion in consumer products featuring the Lilo and Stitch characters. Stephen King's The Stand may finally be headed to the big screen. Filmmaker Doug Liman is attached to direct a feature film of the post-apocalyptic bestseller for Paramount Pictures, with Cross Creek Pictures' Tyler Thompson on board to produce. The project, however, does not have a script, so development may take some time as Lyman and the studio winnow King's novel, which runs 1,153 pages in its 1990 unabridged version, into a single movie. But the studio sees the movie as a priority and is moving forward aggressively to make it happen. The Stand, first published in 1970, was previously adapted as a TV miniseries for ABC in 1994, starring Gary Sinise, Molly Ringwald, Rob Lowe, Ruby Dee, and Laura San Giacomo. And again for Paramount Plus in 2020, starring James Marsden, Odessa Young, Alexander Skarsgård, Whoopi Goldberg, and Amber Heard. However, the story's epic scope, utilizing the backdrop of a cataclysmic influenza pandemic that wipes out 99.4% of humanity to tell a sprawling story of good versus evil over many years, has stymied previous efforts to adapt it into a big screen movie. Now, Ben Affleck, Scott Cooper, David Yates, and Josh Bone are among the filmmakers who've been attached and then unattached to make the film. So, will we see The Stand in our lifetime? Who knows? And over to our sad news for today. Jack Betts, a prolific character actor best known for his roles in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and numerous spaghetti westerns, has passed away at 96. According to his nephew Dean Sullivan, Betts died peacefully in his sleep on Thursday at his home in Los Osos, California, and this was reported first by The Hollywood Reporter. Born Jack Fillmore Betts on April 11, 1929 in Jersey City, New Jersey, he claimed a relation to the 13th U.S. President, Millard Fillmore, and spent his formative years in Miami, where he studied theater at the University of Miami. After college, Betts moved to New York City, making his Broadway debut in Richard III in 1953. His talent was recognized when he was granted a 3-year scholarship to the Lee Strasberg Actors Studio after assisting a friend with an audition. This led to his casting in Elia Kazan's production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He later reunited with Kazan for the 1959 Broadway production of Sweet Bird of Youth, and also appeared in the late 1970s revival of Dracula, even portraying the titular count as Raul Julia's standby. Betts' film career began with 1959's The Bloody Brood. In 1966, he took on the lead role in Franco Giraldo's Sugar Cult, credited for the first time as Hunt Powers. This marked the beginning of his extensive work on a dozen spaghetti westerns throughout the 1970s. His television work were equally impressive, with numerous appearances on daytime soap operas such as General Hospital, The Young Marrieds, The Edge of Night, The Doctors, Another World, All My Children, Falcon Crest, Search for Tomorrow, Guiding Light, Generations, and The Young and the Restless. Betts also had notable guest star roles on popular series like Perry Mason, The FBI, Gunsmoke, Seinfeld, Mad TV, Frasier, Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, The Mentalist, and Monk. He shared a close relationship and a home from the late 80s until his death with Everybody Loves Raymond star Doris Roberts, whom he met at the actor's studio in the 1950s. In Spider-Man, Betts delivered a memorable performance as Henry Bulkin, the Oscorp Technology Board Chairman who dismisses Norman Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe, with the line, "You're out, Norman." This moment famously ignites the Green Goblin's villainous transformation. Later in the film, Osborn chillingly echoes this phrase to Bulkin as he annihilates the board during an attack on Times Square, gleefully exclaiming, "Out am I!" His additional film appearances included Falling Down with Michael Douglas and Robert Duvall, Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, and Gods and Monsters opposite Ian McKellen and Brendan Fraser. Betts is survived by his nephew Dean Sullivan, nieces Lynn and Gail, and his sister Joan, who will celebrate her 100th birthday in November. The Beverly Hills Playhouse paid tribute to Betts on Instagram, saying his great spirit, passion, and true dedication to his work, acknowledging his encouragement that inspired many actors not to give up. They conclude, quote, "There was only ever one like this, and we are richer for having his presence in our theater. Rest in peace, Jack." Again, Jack Betts, dead at the age of 96. Finally tonight, Lalo Schifrin, the Argentinian-American composer and conductor whose electrifying theme for Mission Impossible became one of the most iconic pieces in television history, passed away on Thursday at the age of 93. His death was confirmed by his sons, as shared in a heartfelt announcement. Born in Buenos Aires in 1932, Schifrin was a classically trained pianist who studied in Paris before making his mark in jazz and film scoring. He brought a unique fusion of Latin rhythms, jazz improvisation, and classical structure to Hollywood, crafting soundtracks that were as bold as they were unforgettable. Schifrin's career spanned over 6 decades, includes scores for Mission Impossible, his most famous work with its distinctive 5/4 time signature. That's dun 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 dun. You get the drift. Dirty Harry, Bullet, Enter the Dragon, Houlihan Luke, and earned multiple Grammy Awards and received 6 Oscar nominations, though he famously quipped that his music was too hip for the room. Schifrin also collaborated with jazz legends like Dizzy Gillespie and led orchestras around the world. His compositions were performed in concert halls as often as in cinemas, a testament to his versatility and genius. Lalo Schifrin's music didn't just accompany stories, it told them. His themes pulsed with tension, swagger, and soul, and he leaves a legacy that continues to inspire composers, musicians, and fans across generations. He is survived by his wife Donna and his children. Again, Lalo Schifrin, dead at the age of 93. And that brings us to the end of the show for today. Now, please be sure to check us out on social media. We're on Blue Sky and Twitter. We're on Blue Sky at Multiverse Tom. We're on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram as well at Multiverse Tonight. And if you've gotten some value out of the show and would like to pay it back, head on over to multiversetonight.com, where you'll find our Patreon and Ko-fi links. Check our show notes, visit our TeePublic store, and so much more. Now, if this is your first time listening, thank you very much. Now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share us with others. Now, thanks to Hot Dope for the intro music and Lobo Loco for the outro theme music. Thanks for watching this edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more sci-fi and comic book news goodness. Now, please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. This podcast is part of the Pop Culture Podcast.